call it the land God made in anger. Namibia, harsh birthplace of the world's oldest desert. But just beyond this sea of sand lies a green oasis. Like a cool drink on a hot day, a narrow strip known as Caprivi beckons. From near and far, animals journey to bask in its liquid earth. A vast dry wilderness blankets southern Africa. It is no place for the boundless herds and great predators of African legend. And yet, when the dry season descends on this barren realm, living creatures from far and wide gather. Abandoning their parched ranges, they begin a desperate migration. It is the water they seek. The sustainer and giver of life, it alone separates the wasteland from the garden. They will find it here, in the very heart of southern Africa. From the northeast corner of Namibia, the Caprivi Strip juts like a finger, as long as the distance between London and Luxembourg. Like veins of life, three great rivers intersect, the Okavango, the Kwando, and the Zambezi, and flood the strip with water. Here is a depiction of Eden itself. The animals that pour in are as fantastic as they are bountiful. Colossal mammals, exotic birds, fierce predators, a dazzling display of life converges where the desert has been banished by the flood. And yet, when the rains return, the sounds of glorious solitude echo through the watery landscapes. Beating drops of water are a reveille that awakens a quiet, slumbering world. Seconding Caprivi's water music, foam nest frogs chime in with a raucous chorus of love. With predators about, ponds aren't the safest place to start a family. The frogs retreat to the relative safety of a tree bough for mating. Surrounded by a bevy of amorous males, a female lays her eggs in a protective gel. Like beaten egg whites, the gel is whipped up into a thick foam, keeping the eggs moist throughout incubation. For 6 nights, the frothy nest will be guarded by the mother, who wets it down occasionally with urine. By day, it'll bake in the sun when she leaves it to feed. The tadpoles are nourished by their own private reserve, individual yolk bags. In less than a week, they've outgrown their little fortress. Squirming and wriggling, they fight their way through the outer layer to drop into the pool below. But freedom has a price. Only the strongest will grow to adulthood. in the wild waters of Caprivi. Unlike the surrounding region, year-round the rivers pulse through here, keeping it lush and fertile. After 5 months of rain, their basins swell to overflowing. And in the woodlands, a sumptuous buffet ripens, free to anyone able to reach it. Hovering near a camelthorn tree, an elephant ponders the problem: how to reach the fruit with its stores of fat and protein. An audience of impalas waits close by, hoping for leftovers. His solution is brute force, followed by a dainty twist of his trunk. The bull doesn't seem to mind the uninvited company. For the impalas who've been eating only grass for months, the pods are a welcome change. Even for the tree, this violent harvest is ultimately a satisfactory arrangement. Elephants digest only about half of their food. The rest is discharged intact, complete with seeds, ready to sprout. So the bull will soon be sowing camel thorns throughout the area. While some of the impalas have been at the feast, others are home babysitting. Communal childcare keeps the young safe, while giving the mothers a chance to go off and search for food. These calves are probably cousins, bred from a single territorial male and mothers who are closely related. Constant grooming strengthens the familial ties that bind the herd together. However, life isn't always so peaceful in the antelope world. Nearby, 2 young kudu bucks are locked in a contest of wills. Like boxers touching gloves before a fight, they tap noses between each pushing bout. This skirmish is more frolic than fight. For now, they seem evenly matched, but the day will come when such a battle will determine who has the right to breed. This youngster might consider picking on someone his own size. The tallest of the antelopes, and in fact of all land animals, the giraffe towers nearly 2 meters at birth. The bull takes the challenge, but makes no attempt to hurt his unworthy rival. He's more like an older brother teaching a sibling to arm wrestle. Even when this oddly graceful serpentine dance is done with real aggression, injuries are rare. Once it's been decided who the stronger animal is, the other usually backs down. By the riverside, the Lechwe antelope are also knocking heads over who should sire the next generation. The shy lechwe is often found in the company of a more bombastic beast. Hippos graze off nearby tough plants, clearing the way for the fresh shoots that the antelope like. In such odd pairings, Caprivi is able to provide for all its creatures. After feeding until early morning, they laze away the daylight hours, ruminating like cows. Few in the antelope family are as well adapted to Caprivi's swampy terrain as the lechwe. Powerful hindquarters help it leap over tricky puddles, while wide splayed hooves give it sure footing in the mud. Caprivi's liquid landscape is ideal for creatures that are light on their feet. Some can even walk on water. A rail has a hard go of it. Whenever it stops to snatch a bug, it gets that sinking feeling. But one bird trots right over the lilies. The key is big feet. The jacana has the longest toes in the feathered kingdom. Its broad stance helps it stay on top of the leafy surface, in much the same way that snowshoes keep a person on top of the snow's crust. Jacanas have a liberated notion about bringing up baby. The male alone sits on a nest of floating vegetation, and when the chicks hatch, he'll take full responsibility for their care. Meanwhile, the female hunts for snails and beetles, and shortly, a new mate. And when she finds him, she'll stick around just long enough to lay her eggs before moving on. Even with the dry season at its doorstep, the landscape is blanketed with endless shallow ponds. In this diverse realm, every nook and cranny is occupied by birds. More than 450 different species flock here. The reed forests have been turned into a construction zone by some of the most ingenious avian architects. Like a hot new neighborhood, houses are going up by the dozens in the weaver bird colony. The male is in charge of the design, which requires several different building techniques. The knot is the cornerstone of his structure. With a good foundation in place, he can move on to the weaving stage. Artfully, the bird selects and integrates each leaf. Finally, he weaves an entryway. He will soon try to lure a mate over the threshold. Now the builders turn into real estate agents. A deafening cry goes up from the males, as each tries to sell a female on the charms of his abode and himself. If he hasn't found a roommate within the week, he'll dismantle the nest and start all over again. On the steep banks of the Linyanti River, the housing has a subterranean appeal. Carmine bee-eaters are master excavators. able to dig 2 meters into the sandy cliffs. Many beaks lighten the load. Bee-eater families are large, often including half a dozen helpers. They are truly team players. But it's not all work and no play. Bee-eaters love to sunbathe, and conveniently, the sun shines all day, every day. The dry season has now descended on the region, triggering a monumental migration. Elephants from as far away as Angola converge upon the watery havens of Caprivi. Their population in the area balloons to nearly 3,000. Sweet sanctuary for the footsore, Caprivi marks the end of a harrowing journey through heat and dust. The food's not what it was in the rainy season, though. The fruits of the forest have dried up, so the elephants settle for reeds along the riverbanks. At least there's plenty to go around. Hard to digest, the tough grass attracts few other animals. The oasis works like a tonic, bringing out the playful side of a couple of young bulls. These two aren't likely to have a chance to breed for another decade or more. But a little practice sparring can't hurt. Laying his trunk on the back of the loser, the winner celebrates his victory. The trunk is a useful and expressive limb. It keeps the animals in friendly contact with each other. If they submerge, it becomes a snorkel. The trunk also makes an excellent shovel. Dirt helps keep pestering insects and the burning rays at bay. As the dry season lengthens, water holes grow scarcer. To avoid the heat, some animals simply wade endlessly in the many weedy rivulets. Hippos are one of the few mammals that stay here all year long. This bull has staked a claim in the shallow waters near a sandy beach, and he jealously guards it from other mature males. He marks the border with dung, flinging it about with a muscular tail. Like a keep-out sign, he tries to ward off rivals. Not many succeed at holding on to their turf for more than a few months, though some have been known to defend a territory for up to 30 years. Even members of a hippo harem need their beauty sleep. They've been up all night grazing downriver. Come daybreak, they have to be careful of their sensitive skin. Mucus glands secrete an oily red fluid, a natural moisturizer that protects them from sunburn. The Cape buffalo can't see the lion stalking them in the tall grass, but they can smell it. Panic sweeps through the herd. There are few forces on these plains as daunting as a buffalo stampede. They can reach speeds of up to 40 kilometers per hour. Anything in their path is in danger of being obliterated. But sowing chaos is a lion's strategy. It can now isolate an individual and bring it down. The herd moves on, but not far. For despite the heat and predators, there is no better shelter in the dry season than the Caprivi Strip. All around it, the desert looms, relentless and cruel. But the mighty rivers and rejuvenating rains keep the narrow garden green. Respite for the weary, Caprivi is paradise in a parched world.